The mountain didn't just move, it took a piece of someone's life with it. I see them now. An elderly couple, frozen, their faces pale behind the glass. He's holding that wheel like he can steer them back to safety. But the road is gone. Only gravity is in charge here now. One screech of metal. That's all the warning we get. The mountain is waiting for them to fall, and I'm just a witness. Don't move, I breathe, knowing they can't hear me. Every heartbeat in that car is a vibration the cliff can't afford. The rear axle is the only thing anchored. A few inches of rusted steel against 1,000,000 tons of moving earth. It's a losing bet. I have to be a ghost. No sudden moves. No heavy steps. I need to balance their lives against the weight of my own boots. My brain is a computer right now. Angles, mass, friction. If I miscalculate by a degree, this turns into a recovery mission. The math is brutal. That shelf is a tooth about to snap. It'll hold a dog, maybe, but it won't hold a man. Rusty knows. He sees the same ledge I do. He's my eyes and my hands where the ground won't take me. There's no time for a plan B. We do this now, or we watch them go down with the mountain. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe and like this video. Before we continue, tell me, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments so I know who's listening. The ground near the car is a trap, so I find the spine of the mountain. Steel against stone. Each strike has to be perfect. If this anchor fails, we're all just ghosts in the wind. In the seals, your gear is your life. Out here, it's their life. I tie a bowline, a knot that won't slip, even when the world is pulling it apart. My hands are cold, but they don't shake. Rusty, you're my hands today. Work quiet, work light. He doesn't bark. He just leans into me. He knows the stakes. He knows he's the only one light enough to dance with gravity on that ledge. He moves like a predator on a hunt, but he's hunting for seconds of time. Each step is a calculation. He's walking on a shelf of wet biscuits and broken dreams. One heavy paw, and the Jeep becomes a comet. He feels the mountain moving before it actually does. He freezes. Total stillness. Even the rain seems to stop. He's waiting for the earth to stop breathing so he can take one more step. The old man is panicking. Panic is a weight. Stay still, sir, I whisper from the safety of the anchor. Rusty's presence is working better than any words. He's a silent promise that help has arrived. From up here, it looks impossible. A dog versus a landslide? But I've seen this dog do the impossible in worse places than a rainy mountain pass. We're in the red zone now. No turning back. The door is a cage. A mountain bush, tough as wire, has woven itself into the handle during the slide. If Rusty pulls too hard, the vibration will tip the scale. This isn't just a rescue. It's a puzzle. The mountain is losing patience. Another slide, and the friction holding them is gone. I see the woman's lips moving. She's praying. Rusty looks back at me for a split second, and I see it in his eyes. He's found the thread. He's not going to pull. He's going to dissect. He understands that any sudden movement will trigger the final collapse. So he becomes part of the car's own structure, feeling every vibration of the metal frame through his paws. The mud is slick, but his focus is unbreakable as he prepares for the most delicate extraction of his life. It's like a bomb disposal unit. One sharp tug and the vibration sends them into the dark. Rusty isn't using force. He's using leverage. He's pulling the branch away from the locking mechanism millimeter by millimeter. I'm holding my breath so hard my chest aches. The air is thick with the smell of ozone and wet earth. Every fiber of his muscles is taut as he gently pries the wooden lock away from the handle. He knows the difference between the strength needed to hunt and the precision needed to save. The old man watches, his breath fogging the glass, as a creature of nature fights the mountain to keep him grounded. Chaos is raining down. That rock was a warning shot. Rusty almost went over. I felt the line snap tight against my harness. But he didn't let go of that door. He's anchored to their lives now. The old man is shouting something, but the wind swallows it. I just need 10 more seconds of stability. Just 10. The ground is literally dissolving beneath us, and the sky is turning a bruised purple as the storm intensifies. My dog is hanging over a 300-meter drop, kept alive only by a piece of Kevlar and his own iron will. He regains his footing, his claws digging into the soft shale, refusing to let the abyss win today. The lock is clear, but the danger just doubled. The door is the only thing keeping the frame rigid. If it swings wide, the center of gravity shifts, and it's game over. Rusty is pinned against the metal, acting as a living wedge. He's looking at the old man, telling him with his eyes, "Wait, not yet." The sudden snap echoed through the canyon like a gunshot, making my heart skip a beat. I can see the metal of the door bending under the pressure of the mountain's tilt. Rusty's fur is matted with grime and rain, but he stands his ground, a golden sentinel between life and a long, dark fall. He is the balance point of their universe right now. I can feel the car through the rope. It's a dead weight, pulling, searching for the bottom of the canyon. My hands are starting to go numb, but I can't adjust my grip. I'm the only thing keeping my dog on that ledge, and he's the only thing keeping those people in this world. It's a chain of survival, and every link is screaming. The rope is humming with the tension, a low-frequency vibration that I feel in my very bones. If the anchor gives way, we all fall together. I've never felt more connected to the earth and more terrified of it at the same time. I am a human winch, fighting against the crushing weight of a landslide that wants to claim everything in its path. "Wait for the signal, sir," I yell, though the storm tears the words away. Rusty knows the ground better than any human. He's listening to the soil, waiting for that one specific sound of a deep fracture. When that sound comes, we'll have exactly 2 seconds to move. 2 seconds to live or die. The dog is a seismograph with a heartbeat. He can hear the tiny snaps of roots and the sliding of sand deep underground. The old man pulls his hand back, trusting the animal more than his own instincts. We are all suspended in this crystalline moment of terror, waiting for the mountain to make the final move so we can make ours. This is the anatomy of a disaster. Every machine has a breaking point, and I can hear this Jeep reaching its limit. The hinges are groaning, a high-pitched metallic wail that cuts through the roar of the wind. I'm watching the gap between the door and the frame. It's widening. If it pops, the air inside the car shifts, the weight throws itself to the left, and they're gone. I'm calculating the force of the wind hitting the broadside of the SUV. It's like a sail made of steel. Rusty is acting as the ultimate stabilizer. He's not just standing there. He's leaning his entire 35-kilo mass into the sweet spot of the door. He feels the metal fatigue through his ribs. It's a silent conversation between a dog and a dying machine. And right now, the dog is winning. But for how long? The mountain is moving underneath them, a slow, tectonic crawl that defies every law of safety I've ever learned. I can see the woman's wedding ring tapping against the window, a rhythmic, desperate SOS. I need to get them out, but if they move too fast, They'll trigger the very thing they're trying to escape. My world has shrunk to the diameter of this rope. It's a lifeline, but it's also an anchor that's threatening to drag me into the abyss with them. I can feel every shudder of the Jeep through the fibers of the Kevlar. It's like a telegraph from the edge of death. The water is the enemy now. It's washing away the very ground I'm trusting to keep us all alive. I see the piton, the steel spike I drove into the mountain's heart. It's holding, but for how long? The mud is turning into a soup, losing its grip on the stone. I shift my weight, digging my heels into a deeper shelf of rock, trying to find a purchase that doesn't exist. My muscles are screaming, a slow burn that's turning into a roar. In the SEALs, they teach you to embrace the pain, but this isn't just about me. If my grip slips, Rusty dies. If Rusty dies, that couple dies. The stakes are a vertical line, 300 meters long, ending in a pile of twisted metal. I can't look down. I can only look at the line, watching for the fraying of the spirit before the fraying of the cord. Nature doesn't care about heroism. It doesn't care about the years I spent training or the medals on my shelf. To the mountain, we're just more debris to be cleared. The lightning flash showed me the truth. The rock shelf holding the Jeep is cracked all the way through. It's a miracle it hasn't collapsed already. The scale of this disaster is terrifying. We're suspended in a vacuum of time where every second feels like an hour. The thunder that follows the flash isn't just a sound. It's a physical blow that rattles the car. I see the old man inside flinch. He's looking at me now, his eyes meeting mine through the rain-streaked windshield. There's a question in his gaze. Is it time? Not yet, old man. Not yet. I'm waiting for the mountain to give me a sign, a specific vibration that tells me the final slide is starting. We're playing a game of high-stakes poker with gravity, and I'm holding my cards close to my chest. The wind is howling like a wounded animal, trying to push me off my perch. But I'm part of the rock now. I have to be. The silence between the thunderclaps is the most dangerous part. That's when you hear the small things, the friction of rubber on wet stone, the sigh of the chassis as it settles deeper into the mud. Rusty is listening to things I can't even perceive. He's a biological sensor, tuned to the frequency of disaster. I see his tail twitch, not out of fear but as a balance adjustment. He's a master of his own physics. Inside the car, the elderly couple is holding hands. It's a quiet, dignified gesture that hits me harder than the storm. They've accepted the end, but I haven't. My logic is working at light speed. I need to time the extraction perfectly. If the woman opens her door first, the balance shifts toward the driver's side, the side that's hanging over nothing. If the man comes out toward Rusty, the dog has to take his full weight while maintaining the door's position. It's a mathematical nightmare. I'm looking for the pivot point, the exact moment when the car is most stable during its slide. It's a window that will only stay open for a heartbeat. I signal to Rusty with a sharp whistle, barely audible over the gale. He tenses. The hunt is over. The rescue is beginning. This is the critical moment, the transition from static to dynamic. Rusty is no longer just a stabilizer. He is becoming a living anchor. I can see the muscles in his shoulders bunching, creating a solid wall of bone and fur. He's telling them to move, but move like shadows. The click of the seatbelt sounds like a gunshot in the tense silence between the wind gusts. My hands are fused to the rope, my entire body a counterweight to the tragedy trying to happen on that ledge. The woman moves first, sliding toward the center console to avoid tipping the car. It's a slow-motion dance of survival. Rusty's eyes never leave the man's face, holding his gaze, keeping him anchored to the present moment. The mud is still flowing, a relentless river of brown sludge that's trying to lubricate their slide into the dark. I feel the rope thrumming. It's not just the wind, it's the heartbeat of the mission. Every gram of weight shifted inside that cabin is a new variable in an equation that has no room for error. We are standing on the edge of the world, and the only thing keeping us here is a dog's will and a soldier's grip. The anchor is starting to sing. That's the sound of metal under extreme stress, a warning that the rock itself might be giving way. I'm leaning so far back that I can feel the cold rain on my neck, my heels locked into a limestone shelf. I'm not just holding a rope, I'm holding back the mountain. I can feel the grit of the mud in my teeth and the smell of wet earth filling my lungs. My vision is tunneling, focusing only on the point where the rope disappears over the ledge. I know the math. If that piton flies, I have less than half a second to react before I'm dragged over the edge. But I can't think about the fall. I can only think about the tension. I am the bridge between life and death, and right now, the bridge is under heavy fire. The carabiner is groaning, the sound of steel being pushed to its limit. I can see the woman's face through the rear window now. She's crawling toward the back door. It's the safest exit point, furthest from the precipice. I pray she doesn't slip. One stumble, one sudden shift in weight, and the anchor will tear right out of the mountain's heart. Rusty is the master of balance. He knows that a wide-open door is a sail that could catch the gale and flip the car like a coin. He's using his own body as a doorstop, feeling the pressure of the metal against his ribs. The woman is terrified, but she sees the dog's calm. It's a silent pact between species. She reaches out, her fingers catching the cold, wet metal of the frame. I can see the moment she makes the decision to step out. It's a leap of faith onto a surface that's barely there. Rusty shifts his weight, his paws finding new purchase on the vibrating stone. He's not just a dog anymore. He's an engineer of survival. The old man is still inside, holding the steering wheel, his weight keeping the front end down. It's a tactical sacrifice, a husband protecting his wife even in the face of certain death. I can see the love and the fear in his eyes, a devastating combination. I tighten my grip on the line, feeling the new vibration as the woman prepares to leave the vehicle. The air is electric, the storm screaming around us, but on that ledge, there is a deadly, focused silence. She's out, but she's not safe. The ledge is a tightrope made of grease. I see her boots sliding, her hands clawing at the slick rock. Rusty stays pinned, knowing that if he moves to help her, the car will follow her down. He's making the hardest choice a partner can make, staying still when every instinct tells him to lung for her. I'm the one who has to catch her. I start to take up the slack on the secondary line, my movements agonizingly slow to avoid jerking the anchor. The wind tries to tear her off the cliff, a physical force that she's barely able to fight. She's looking at me now, her eyes wide with the realization of the drop below her. "Keep coming!" I roar, the sound lost in the thunder. She's moving like a crab, inches at a time, toward the solid ground where I'm anchored. The Jeep groans behind her, a hollow sound of metal losing its fight with gravity. The balance has shifted. With one person out, the front end is dipping lower into the abyss. The old man is still there, a ghost behind the wheel, watching his wife reach for safety. My muscles are on fire, the lactic acid screaming, but I can't feel it. I only feel the line. The tree is dying, It's a desperate handhold that wasn't meant to support a human life. I can see the roots pulling out of the shale, a slow-motion failure of nature. She's paralyzed with fear, her fingers locked around the thin trunk. "Don't stop!" I yell. I need her to reach the secondary anchor point, a small granite outcrop just a few feet away. But she's staring down. That's the mistake. Never look at the drop. Look at the goal. Rusty barks, a sharp, commanding sound that cuts through her panic. It's an order. He's telling her to move. The sound startles her into action. She lets go of the tree just as it gives way and lunges for the granite. She makes it. Her hands find the solid stone, and she pulls herself onto the stable shelf. She's safe. But the Jeep reacted to her lung. The movement sent a shudder through the chassis that I felt all the way down the main line. The car is sliding again. A foot. 2 feet. The front wheels are completely gone now, the engine block resting on the very edge, and the old man is still inside. The equation has changed. It's no longer a rescue. It's a desperate tug of war. The car wants to go, and Rusty is the only thing standing in its way. He's not leaning anymore. He's pushing back, his head down, his muscles quivering with the strain. I can see the blood on his paws, where the sharp stones have torn his skin. He won't let go. He won't let that man fall. I'm pouring everything I have into the anchor, praying the steel holds. The woman is screaming for her husband, but her voice is a whisper against the gale. The old man is trying to climb into the back seat, but the tilt of the car is too steep. He's trapped by his own weight and the angle of the collapse. We have seconds left. The mountain is roaring, a deep, tectonic growl that tells me the whole ledge is about to go. It's a moment of absolute clarity. I see the fraying of the rope near the carabiner. I see the determination in my dog's eyes. We either save him now, or we watch the abyss take him. The time for caution is over. It's time for raw, unadulterated strength. This is the sound of time running out. Every strand that snaps is a second we'll never get back. I can feel the vibration of the failing rope through my very marrow, a rhythmic shudder that tells me the structural integrity of our only lifeline is dissolving. My muscles have moved past pain into a cold, numb void of pure adrenaline, where my mind calculates the exact millisecond of the final snap. I'm not just a man anymore. I'm a counterweight to destiny, fighting a silent war against the laws of physics. The old man is there, just inches away from the edge of the world, his fingers brushing against the cold, wet air. I see his eyes. They aren't full of terror anymore, but a quiet, devastating apology to his wife, a silent goodbye that I refuse to accept. "Rusty, now!" I roar, a sound that rips through my throat and defies the thunder, signaling the start of a maneuver we've only ever practiced in the safety of a training field. The air is thick with the scent of ozone, the metallic tang of fear, and the heavy smell of the mountain's old, wet earth. My hands are locked in a grip that would take a crowbar to break, my knuckles turned into white stones. We are holding on to the cliff with nothing but grit and the thinning fibers of a rope that was never meant to hold this much weight. If the line goes, I go with it. And the legacy of everything I've built with this dog ends in a heap of twisted metal. I close my eyes for a fraction of a second, forcing my entire will into the steel of the piton and the core of the rope, demanding the universe to hold still for just one more minute. The world drops away in a slow, agonizing crawl. Gravity finally claims its prize, but Rusty is a thief of souls today, refusing to let the mountain win. The sound of the mountain breaking is a deep, tectonic roar that vibrates in my chest, more felt than heard. In that split second of weightlessness, when the car began its final, inevitable fall, my dog did the impossible. He ignored every instinct of self-preservation and dove into the danger zone. I see the tawny flash of his fur against the gray mist, a streak of gold in a world of slate. His teeth are locked into the thick fabric of the man's jacket with the mechanical strength of an industrial vice. The Jeep is a dead weight now, a plummeting anchor of steel that wants to drag everyone into the dark. But the man is suspended in a fragile balance between the dying car and the living dog. I feel the bone-jarring impact through the line as the car's weight shifts entirely onto my shoulders. It feels as if my arms are being pulled from their sockets, a searing heat spreading through my joints. The tension is absolute, a humming vibration that sings of imminent failure. The woman on the stable ground is screaming, her voice a thin, distant reed against the howling gale. There is only the wind, the metallic groan of the hanging car, and the low, guttural growl of my dog as he fights to pull the man upward, his paws scratching for any purchase on the disintegrating edge. Every muscle in Rusty's body is strained to the breaking point, his eyes fixed on mine, asking me to hold the line for just a few heartbeats longer. We are leaning into the abyss, staring down the end of the world, and we are not blinking. The Jeep is gone, swallowed by the mist like it never existed. The sound of it hitting the bottom is a dull, final thud that echoes up the canyon walls, marking the end of the machine's journey. But our journey isn't over yet. I've left the safety of the solid rock, betting every ounce of my life on the strength of my own legs and the desperate friction of my boots against the mud. I reach the crumbling edge and look down into the swirling white void where the road used to be. There they are. My dog, with his front paws braced against a narrow rib of granite, his back legs shivering from the strain, and the old man dangling over the 300-meter drop, held only by the fabric of his coat and a dog's jaw. I reach down, my hand finding the rough, wet canvas of his sleeve, and then the cold, trembling skin of his wrist. "I've got you," I roar, and for the first time, the old man looks up and sees me, the light of hope flickering in his exhausted eyes. The adrenaline is a raging fire in my veins, giving me a surge of strength that defies human biology. I pull, not just with my arms, but with my entire soul, drawing on every memory of every person I couldn't reach in time during my years in the service. This one is staying in the light. This one is coming home. I can hear the man's heavy, terrified breathing and the rhythmic, focused growl of Rusty as he refuses to yield even a single millimeter to the abyss. Together, we are a tripod of survival, 3 different lives bound by a single goal. The rain lashes at our faces, trying to blind us, but we are locked into this moment with a clarity that only the edge of death can provide. Silence descends. The most beautiful and heavy silence I have ever experienced. The roar of the mountain is replaced by the simple, miraculous sound of a man breathing, ragged, wet gasps that confirm the abyss has been cheated today. He's alive. I turn my head to look at Rusty, my partner, my brother in arms. He is completely spent, his body shivering with the massive aftershocks of his effort, his golden fur matted with the gray sludge of the Alps. I crawl over the remaining inches of mud and bury my face in his wet neck for a long, silent second, letting the reality sink in. We did it. The woman is there now, a blur of motion as she throws herself onto her husband, their combined sobs of relief mixing with the sound of the receding rain. The tactical logic of the mission is over. There are no more angles to calculate, no more weights to balance. Now, there is only the raw, overwhelming emotion of survival. I look back at the jagged, empty space where the road once sat, realizing the mountain took the car, their belongings, and their path, but it failed to take their future. That single sliver of golden light hitting the wet granite feels like a benediction, a sign that the chaos has passed. We are bruised, we are physically broken, and we are covered in the very earth that tried to bury us. But we are standing. I reach down and finally unclip the line, the frayed, dying cord that held our lives together, and let it fall into the wind. We don't need it anymore. The connection is now internal, forged in the mud and the rain. We are on solid ground, and for the first time in an hour, I can feel my own heartbeat again. The rescue is over, but the investigation has just begun. My heart is still hammering against my ribs, but the detective in me is already taking over. Landslides in this part of the Alps are common, but they have a specific signature, a natural rhythm of erosion and failure. This feels different. I'm looking at the way the asphalt sheared off. It's too clean, too precise. As I sweep the light over the edge, Rusty gives a sharp, low huff. He's found something. I kneel, the mud soaking into my tactical pants, and there it is. A fragment of high-tensile copper wiring buried 6 inches below the surface. Nature doesn't use copper. My mind starts running through the possibilities. Was this a natural disaster, or was the mountain given a push? I look at the old couple sitting in the back of the ambulance. They weren't just random travelers. He's a retired structural engineer for the regional dam project. Suddenly, the accident starts to look like a calculated removal. The rain is washing away the evidence by the second, and I have to document everything before the forensic trail turns into a river of sludge. I pull out my camera, the shutter clicking in sync with the distant roll of thunder, capturing the geometry of a crime scene disguised as a tragedy. Rusty's nose is a precision instrument, and right now it's screaming chemical. I move the light closer, the shadows dancing across the forest floor. This isn't part of a car engine, and it's not hiker's trash. It's a specialized container for industrial-grade thermal paste, the kind used to stabilize high-vibration drills. My logical mind starts to connect the dots. Copper wire, thermal residue, a clean break in the road. Someone didn't wait for the rain to cause a slide. They accelerated the process. They used the storm as a thermal and acoustic shroud. I look up at the dark, towering peaks above us. From up there, you could see the headlights of the Jeep coming for miles. This wasn't a trap for anyone. It was a trap for them. I look back at the old man, who is now being wrapped in a shock blanket. He looks terrified, but it's not the look of a man who survived a fall. It's the look of a man who knows why he fell. I need to get to him before the authorities arrive. In these mountains, the police are often hours away, but cleaner teams can be much faster. Every second I spend looking at this plastic scrap is a second the real threat gets closer to finishing what the mountain started. I signal Rusty to track, and he immediately turns his head toward the higher slope, his fur bristling. We aren't alone out here. The medical crew is busy with the wife, giving me a narrow window of silence. I don't approach as a rescuer this time. I approach as a man who sees the shadows. The old man, Arthur, looks at me, and for a second, the gratitude in his eyes is replaced by a sharp, piercing recognition. He knows I've been looking at the edge. He knows I found the wire. I lean in close, my voice barely a whisper against the hum of the ambulance's engine. Arthur, the mountain didn't just decide to move today. I found the copper and the thermal casings. Who knew you were taking this road? His breath hitches, a sharp intake of air that rattles in his lungs. He grips the foil blanket so hard his knuckles turn white. It was the report, he stammers, his voice trembling like a leaf in the storm. The dam's foundation. It's not just stone, it's sand. I told them it wouldn't hold a 10-year flood. They told me to retire. He looks at the dark forest again, his pupils blown wide. They aren't coming to help us, son. They're coming to make sure the landslide finished its job. My logic clicks into high gear. This isn't just a corporate cover-up. It's a liquidation. And we are the only witnesses left on the board. In the silence of the mountains, sound travels for miles, but light tells the story first. Those aren't official emergency vehicles. No sirens, no blue and red strobes. Just the cold, white glare of high-powered LED bars. They're coming from the north, the direction of the dam project headquarters. My tactical training kicks in. We are exposed on this narrow stretch of road. One exit is blocked by the slide. The other is being closed by the approaching vehicles. I look at Arthur, then at the medic who is oblivious to the wolf at the door. I have to make a choice. If I stay here and play the witness, we all might disappear into another unfortunate geological event. But if I move, I'm taking an injured couple into the wilderness in the middle of a storm. Rusty feels the tension, his ears swiveling toward the sound of the approaching tires. He looks at me, waiting for the command. My mind is mapping the terrain, the old logging trails, the steep ravines, the places where a man and a dog can disappear, but a truck cannot. The headlights are getting larger, reflecting off the wet canyon walls like the eyes of a predator. The investigation just turned into a tactical withdrawal. I lean back into the ambulance. Pack your gear, I tell the medic, my voice cold and commanding. We're moving. Now. Information is the only currency that matters right now. I need to know where those trails lead. I unfold the map, the lines and contours blurred by the flickering light of the ambulance. My eyes find the Blackwood Trail. It's steep, overgrown, and dangerous, but it leads to a secondary ranger station with a hardline radio. If we can reach it, we can bypass the local signals that might be monitored. I look at Arthur. He's weak, but the fear has given him a second wind. Can you walk? I ask. He nods, gripping his wife's hand. The medic looks at me like I'm insane, but then he sees the trucks. 2 blacked-out SUVs skidding around the last bend, their engines roaring with a predatory hunger. They don't slow down. They don't look like they're stopping to help. I grab my pack, the weight familiar and grounding. Rusty, scout, I command. The dog vanishes into the dark undergrowth without a sound. He is our ghost in the machine, our early warning system. We step off the asphalt and into the mud of the forest, just as the first SUV screeches to a halt, exactly where I was standing seconds ago. The door opens, and the first thing I see is the glint of a flashlight reflecting off a tactical helmet. The hunt has officially begun, and the mountain is no longer our biggest problem. In the forest, silence isn't the absence of noise. It's the presence of the right kind of noise. My ears are tuned to the snap of dry twigs and the heavy, rhythmic breathing of the pursuers. They've stepped out of their vehicles. They aren't looking for survivors. They're looking for silhouettes. I look at Arthur and his wife. Their fear is palpable, a scent that I'm sure Rusty can smell as clearly as the ozone in the air. We need to move laterally, cutting across the slope to reach the Blackwood Trail. The ground here is treacherous, slick mud over jagged granite, but it's our only shield. I watch Rusty. He's scanning the periphery, his eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. He's not just a dog. He's an extension of my own tactical awareness. I'm calculating the time it takes for them to sweep the ambulance and realize we've gone into the brush. 2 minutes. Maybe 3. I signal the group to step exactly where I step. Every footprint is a breadcrumb for a professional tracker, and the people behind us aren't amateurs. They're moving with a coordinated precision that speaks of military training. We are no longer in a rescue scenario. We are in a tactical evasion. The mountain, which was our enemy an hour ago, is now the only thing that might keep us alive. The light is the predator's eye. Every time that beam sweeps through the pines, my heart skips a beat. They're using thermal imaging, I'm sure of it. I have to find a way to mask our heat signatures. The stream, there's a runoff creek about 100 meters ahead, fed by the glacial melt. The water is ice cold, and the wet rocks will pull the heat from our bodies, making us invisible to their sensors for a few critical moments. I whisper the plan to Arthur. He's shivering, his teeth chattering, but he nods. He understands the stakes. My logic is moving like a chess engine, predicting their next move. They'll split up. One team to follow the trail, another to circle around and cut off the escape. Rusty is ahead of us, already sniffing the air near the creek. He gives a low, muffled huff, the clear signal. We slide down a small embankment, the mud caking our clothes. The cold of the water is a physical shock, a needle-sharp pain that shoots through my legs, but it's a welcome pain. It means we're still here. I look back one last time. The flashlight beam hits the spot where we were standing seconds ago. They are close. Too close. But they've lost the scent for now. In this environment, the tracker with the most patience wins. And I've spent my whole life learning how to wait. The water is our sanctuary and our prison. It hides our scent and our heat, but it drains our energy with every step. Arthur is stumbling, his breath coming in short, ragged gasps. I can feel the weight of his exhaustion leaning against me. Just a little further, I whisper, though I don't know if it's true. The creek bends around a granite outcrop, a natural fortress that might give us a moment to breathe. I look at Rusty. He's reached the far bank, shaking the water from his fur. He's already scanning the ridge above us. His ears flatten. He's heard something. Not the searchers, something else. A mechanical hum. A drone. My mind immediately shifts gears. A drone changes everything. Thermal from above is much harder to hide from. I look for cover. A hollowed-out log. A dense overhang. Anything to break our silhouette from the sky. The hum grows louder. A high-pitched buzzing that cuts through the roar of the creek. They're using every tool in the shed to find us. This isn't just about a dam report anymore. This is a high-level containment operation. We aren't just witnesses. We are the evidence that needs to be deleted. I pull Arthur under a ledge of rock just as a small, black shape flits across the patch of gray sky above the trees. We freeze, becoming part of the stone. The drone is the ultimate scout. It doesn't get tired, it doesn't get cold, and it sees the world through a lens of thermal gradients. We are currently just cold spots on its screen, thanks to the glacial water of the creek, but our core temperature will start to rise soon. I'm watching the drone's flight pattern. It's a grid search, precise and relentless. If it lingers for more than 10 seconds, It means the operator has spotted a ghost in the data. My logic is focused on the operator's location. A drone of this class has a limited range in these mountainous conditions due to signal interference. The pilot must be within a kilometer, likely at a high vantage point. That means there's a third team we haven't seen yet. The eyes in the sky. I look at Arthur. His eyes are wide, reflecting the faint red blink of the drone above. We are caught in a game of digital hide-and-seek where the loser doesn't get a second chance. The buzzing of the rotors is a physical pressure on my eardrums. I wait for the exact moment the drone pivots to follow the next line of its grid. 3, 2, 1. It moves. Go, I whisper, and we slip out from under the ledge, moving deeper into the darkest part of the ravine where the canopy is thickest. We've reached the threshold. The Blackwood Trail isn't just a path. It's a vertical labyrinth of shale and ancient roots. It's the place where the trackers will have to abandon their vehicles and face us on our terms. I find the marker I left years ago during a training exercise, a small, deliberate scar on an old oak. It tells me I'm exactly where I need to be. But the victory is short-lived. I look back and see the headlights shifting. They've found the creek crossing. They've realized the water trick. They aren't following our scent anymore. They're following the logic of the terrain. They know where this trail leads. I look at Rusty. His fur is standing on end, and he gives a low, vibrating growl directed not at the road, but at the darkness ahead of us on the trail. My blood turns to ice. They didn't just follow us. They sent someone ahead. We are being squeezed from both sides. This is no longer a simple evasion. It's an ambush in the making. I check my watch. 45 minutes since the slide. The golden hour is over. Now we enter the long dark. I grip the handle of my knife, the weight of it a cold comfort. Rusty, flank, I command. We aren't just running anymore. We're preparing to fight back.